U.S. dock workers have agreed to return to work as early as today after port operators sweetened their contract offer. It effectively ends a three-day strike that has shut down shipping on the East and Gulf coasts. And Simon Marks has the latest from Washington, D.C.
This news from the International Longshoremen's Association, one of the largest dock workers unions in the United States, will be very welcome for the Biden administration and particularly for Vice President Kamala Harris because the dispute had been threatening to cause real economic dislocation, particularly for American shoppers at grocery stores and other big box stores throughout the United States as shipments entering the United States got held up, but also for agriculture and farmers in some of the all-important battleground states in America's presidential election. Now, it's understood, according to multiple reports here this evening, that the employers in this case have now offered a 62% pay rise over the course of a new 6-year contract to the members of that union, who are very, very heavily focused on the East and Gulf coasts of the United States. That is less than the union had been asking for. They'd been seeking a pay raise in excess of 75%, but previously they'd only been offered around 50% by the employers. So a 62% pay raise is enough, say the leaders of the union, to suspend this industrial action. But they're only suspending it, mind. They say this is a tentative agreement on wages. They will go back to work until January the 15th, very, very close to America's inauguration day, just a few days later. In other words, this union sending a message to Kamala Harris and Donald Trump that whoever ends up being president of the United States starting in late January is very likely to be confronting this issue all over again, and that these calls, backed by the Biden administration, for dock workers to receive substantial pay rises reflective of the sacrifices that they say they made during the COVID-19 pandemic, and reflective, says the White House, of the enormous profits that their employers have been raking in since the pandemic. This issue, the union is clearly indicating, is not going to go away, but it is going to go away right now. And for Kamala Harris particularly, that is going to be very good news. There had been reports of some panic buying in parts of the country. The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, joked earlier in the week that she was worried that at some point soon she was going to have to say, yes, we have no bananas, because bananas were one of the principal products that immediately were being held up from being unloaded at ports up and down the East Coast and the Gulf coasts of the United States. So the dockers returning to work, one massive problem for the Democrats and Kamala Harris electorally is seemingly alleviated, but both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump now on notice that they're going to be, one of them will be seeing the dock workers again at the end of January next year. Simon Marks, CNA in Washington.